Okay, good evening. Today we want to learn an interesting question that Chacham Ovadia was asked in Yeshiva Chelek Zayin. He was asked the question that on everybody's mind, in Eretz Israel especially, should one send his boy to a regular yeshiva that learns Torah, yeshiva that sits what we call yeshiva Haredi, which means they learn all the time without any other things in mind or any other plans or any. That's what they do, just sitting and learning, Toratam umanutan, what we call. Or should we say that we should send the boy to what we call Yeshivat Hesder? What is Yeshivat Hesder? Yeshivat Hesder is a program of 5 years. You learn 3.5 years, roughly. Again, only Torah, nothing else. Torah, Gemara, Be'iyun, Be'bekiyut, the way they do in other yeshivot. And then for about 1.5 years, they go to train for the army. In order that they should be ready in case there's a war, chas v'shalom, they would be trained. So what's better to attend, to send your child, or if you're the age, where should you go? No, we not speaking today about any hashkafot. There's a lot of politics in this question. This is a very, very political question. We're cutting all the politics, whether it's good, it's bad, you can speak about this endlessly, and everybody has their own opinion, and Chachmei Israel have their own opinion, and the Hardalim have their own opinions, and we're cutting through everything. I wouldn't even bring it up because of all the politics in it, but since Chacham Ovadia brings it in his Sefer, so we want to see what he says. Okay? So this is a question that really comes down to what the Gemara says. It's a Gemara in Megillat Zayin, whether Talmud Torah is greater than Atzalat Nefashot, or Atzalat Nefashot is greater than Talmud Torah. What's greater? To sit and learn Torah, or to go and help out somebody that's in danger, right? You have over here, for instance, when there were riots of the BLM, so there were a group of people that went out just for safety patrol, right? Is that better? Or maybe they should sit down in yeshiva and spend time in the Gemara. What's better? So over here we come into Ilchot Tzedakah. We have to open Ilchot Tzedakah, Siman Resh Nun Aleph. Over there you find the Sugiyah. Let's see what it says over there. Over there in Seif Yud Daled, the Shulchan Aruch says that if people collected money for Talmud Torah, there was a collection, there was enough money collected for Talmud Torah, for the yeshiva, for the kollel, for learning in the shul, whatever it is, it's meant for Talmud Torah. And now there's a need that the governor, the Hagmon, the governor back then, was collecting money. And if you wouldn't give him the money, they would hold some of the poor Jewish people, and beat them up. They would undress them, beat them up. So what is better? To keep the money for what it's meant for Talmud Torah, or maybe it is better to help out these poor Jewish, literally poor Jewish men that would be beaten up because we didn't provide enough money to the governor, to the Hagmon. Says the Shulchan Aruch. This is a question that actually was asked to the Rosh. It's brought down in the Tur in this Siman, and the Shulchan Aruch is posek that la'alacha the following words: Yecholim leshanot afilu mitalmud Torah. You are allowed, you're permitted to change the money that was collected for Talmud Torah to give it to the Hagmon, lefi shu atzalat nefashot, because with that you're saving life. Sheim lo yitpashru imo, because if you won't come to compromise with him, give him what he wants, make him happy, yesh kama aniyim she'en lahem liten. Some poor people would not be able to give their fair share to the Hagmon, ve'yakum ve'afshitun arumim. They will be beat them up, and it will come down to hatzalat nefashot, to pikuach nefesh. So therefore, the Shulchan Aruch is posek, it's better to give them the money, give the Hagmon, give for those poor people the money, whatever their share is, in order to save them. And the question is, how is that possible? Talmud Torah, if it's collected for something, you're not permitted to change the purpose of what it was collected for unless the purpose is on a higher level, more zechut. when people gave the money for Talmud Torah, and now you take that money and you use it for tzedakah, if tzedakah is not greater than Talmud Torah, you are not allowed to change it. You're only allowed to change it for things that you're only allowed to elevate it, not allowed to downgrade it. So you see from here clearly that Atzalat Nefashot is greater than Talmud Torah. And it makes a lot of sense to us. Of course, saving people, it's very important. On the other hand, says the Marshal, he asked the question from the Gemara in Megillah we mentioned before, Tet Zayin Amud Bet, Gadol Talmud Torah Yotzer me'atzalat nefashot, says the Gemara. And therefore, if that is the case, that Talmud Torah is greater than atzalat nefashot, you have over here a contradiction. How do you work out that contradiction? That would be the solution to our question, which yeshiva should you send your children? Okay, so there's a Prisha and a Drisha over here. Prisha and Drisha on the tour. Both, he says two answers. One in the Prisha, he says the following, that there's a concept called, that's a concept in Moed Katan that we learn, that there's a chiluk between mitzvah she'yochola la'asot al yedei acherim and mitzvah she'ena yochola la'asot al yedei acherim. Which means, if you're sitting down and learning Torah, and now there's a certain mitzvah that you hear that needs to be done, there's a simchat chatan vekala, whatever it is, it's a mitzvah that they ask people to go and help out, you should go, even though you're sitting down and learning, you should be mevatel the Torah, stop the learning and help out. But that's only on condition that nobody else can do that mitzvah. If somebody else can do that mitzvah, you shouldn't stop your learning, rather you keep learning and let somebody else do that. That is the concept of mitzvah sheyechola lasot al yedei acherim. Obviously, we're talking about mitzvah that is not a complete obligation, like for instance, putting tefillin, going to tefillah. Those are obligation on a person that obviously has to do that. It's mitzvah shelo yechola lasot al yedei acherim because it has to be on your arms. You have to pray yourself. You have to put the tzitzit yourself, whatever it is. You have to shake lulav. You have to shake it yourself. But when we're talking about something that's not obligated on you, but rather there's a mitzvah in town that needs to be done, it depends if it's mitzvah she'yochola la'asot al yedei acherim or not. So that's why he says over here that is the case. That when is it that you're helping out the poor people? It's only if there's nobody else that can do that. If nobody else can do that, then you help out the poor people. But if somebody else can do that, then you're sitting down and learning or use the money for Talmud Torah. That is one answer. That is the Prisha. Let's see what he says in the Drisha. In the Drisha he says a different idea. He says that there was enough money collected. The case in the Shulchan Aruch is that there's enough money collected, and for not only for Talmud Torah, but actually there's excess money. There's a lot of money. They made a collection in the shul, and they needed a certain amount, that they collected much more than that. It's not needed all for Talmud Torah. It's overly, much more than needed. So then, that money you're allowed to use to help out the poor people. Comes out from this Drisha, that if there's not enough money for both, you collected exactly the amount of money needed for Talmud Torah, you won't be allowed to change it to help out the poor people and save them from pikuach nefesh, which is an interesting idea. According to this Drisha, comes out that you abandon these poor men and let them sometimes die, be beaten up, and so on. You won't help them out because the money that was collected for Talmud Torah, and that's not enough money to give them. So keep that in mind. According to that, the money should be used only for Talmud Torah and not to help out the poor people. That would be a downgrade. You won't be allowed to do that. But the idea over here also that we're learning that Talmud Torah is greater in all cases than Atzalat Nefashot. Even though the Atzalat Nefashot is imminent, you have to help out of it. If not, the people will be beaten up. Still, you should sit down and learn. In our case, it would solve our question according to this Drisha, that if you have to send your child to either such a place as a Yeshiva Haredi, normal regular Yeshiva, or Yeshiva that we call Yeshivat Hesder, in that case, you send it to a regular Yeshiva, and don't worry about Atzalat Nefashot. People might need you for saving lives. Don't worry about it. That's what comes out from this Drisha. Then there's a Taz. And the Taz is what the Poskim bring down la'alacha, the Shevet HaLevi brings that Taz la'alacha, and it seems to be that Taz is very, very simple answer to the question that there's two concepts over here. What is the greater zechut? Talmud Torah or Hatzalat Nefashot? Where would you get more zechut in Shamayim? Where is your merit greater? The Gemara says Talmud Torah has more merit in Shamayim. In Shamayim, they'll give you more reward. HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves Talmud Torah more than he loves even Hatzalat Nefashot. You'll be closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu by learning Torah than going and saving people. That is true. That is what the Gemara says in Megillah. But then there's another concept that's called stopping learning in order to perform a mitzvah. If you have a mitzvah that you have to do, you must stop. Even though it's greater to learn, somebody outside needs help. Even if it's simple help. That somebody needs help. You have somebody outside that had, a flat tire. And he needs to get home. And he's going to be sitting here the whole night. And he's right outside the yeshiva. So you let him stay over there for another 5 hours because everybody's learning. So there's a pasuk in the Torah, Azov ta'azov imo. Over there, it's not talking about flat tire, but it's the same idea. Chacham Ovadia makes that comparison somewhere in Yechavedat. You have to help out. So somebody should stop the learning and go help him out. So when we're dealing with Hatzalat Nefashot, definitely it's so. If you have an opportunity, you have right now a case that there is Hatzalat Nefashot, you must stop your learning and go help out. But if you ask what is greater, what gets more merit for Talmud Torah. What do you have to do? Sometimes you have to stop the Talmud Torah that has more merit and go and help out somebody that needs Hatzalat Nefashot. It's not necessarily that you compare the two, which one is greater, but rather sometimes you see what's more needed. Even though Talmud Torah is greater, sometimes Hatzalat Nefashot is more needed. So according to that, what comes out that since you have sometimes, unfortunately, needs for soldiers in Eretz Yisrael, it's not simple at all. The situations over there is very hard. According to that, you would have to stop your learning and go and help out in the army. Comes out that according to these tasks, also like the Drisha, you have to stop your learning, or at least in such setup that you're learning for 3.5 years and going to train for the army 1.5 years. That should be the right approach. Says Chacham Ovadia that is not true in our case. Why not? Because we are only talking about a case that the danger is now, is right in front of you, is lefanecha, is imminent, is in front of you. Then the question comes out that you have to help out and stop your learning. But if it's not right this moment, but rather it's going to be in the future, you don't have to stop your learning. That's the way it is. And this is what it brought down in the Igrot Moshe. Igrot Moshe says that what should a person do? Should he go to learn, let's say medicine? He wants to go to a medical school. Or should he go to learn in yeshiva? What's better? He's asking. Medical school, you'll be helping out, not necessarily that he needs money. He doesn't need money. He just wants to do the right thing, klapei shmaya. He wants to do the right thing. So what would you do? Says Moshe Feinstein that if you look at what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, without the taking care of your financial needs again, you're set up financially. You don't need the money. But should you go and learn in a medical school in order to eventually help out Klal Yisrael, heal them, be a doctor, says Moshe Feinstein that you don't have an obligation for the future. There's no need for the future there's no need to, right now, take steps in order to prevent things or help out in the future. It's only what's right in front of you right now. He says, what is that compared to? A person that doesn't have money to give tzedakah, does he need to go and work in order that he'll have money to give tzedakah? No. If you have right now tzedakah, you give. You don't have to give. You don't have to go to work and prepare yourself in order that in the future you'll have money to give tzedakah. There's no such obligation. The same thing over here. That's the idea that Chacham Ovadia comes out. That since right now the soldiers are not needed to go to a war. Right now you're not needed. If you need it, you still can't help out because you're not trained. So we're talking about in the future. since right now you're not needed, therefore it's better to learn Torah in a regular yeshiva than to go somewhere that's going to train you for the future. And that's how Chacham Ovadia comes out. This is how it seems to be from everything that we're learning as well, that although even if you say that you need to help out in Atzalat Nefashot, and it's greater than Talmud Torah, that is only if you have the danger right now, and not that you have to prepare it for the future. Thank you.